Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Kim. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I am excited about today's podcast. I know we're going to go through some things and looking forward to sharing it with our viewers. And I want to get right to it because I know this is going to be something that many people are going to be interested in. Um, but before we get started, I do want to give our disclaimer that we are not CPAs, we are not attorneys, we are not what else? Financial planners and advisors, right? But we are real estate investors, and we'd like to share what we do and educate. So this is for information purposes only. And so with that, I'm going to get right to it because I'm not sure if we really have a title for this, but we are going to talk about how to get cash out of our existing properties without going through a bank. And I am very excited because I think we got a real life case study at the end that you want to talk about
Yep.
um, that I can attest to. But let's get started because this is a goodie. I
Yeah.
think everybody would like to know how they too can get cash out of their current property without having to go through a bank.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. This is fun, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun on our podcast.
Okay.
Um, and this kind of led from the last podcast where I started talking about seller financing, and that I
Yeah.
had done. I sold a property that I have um, using seller financing. So basically, I'm the bank. My former tenant is basically borrowing the money from me to buy my house.
Right. Right.
So um, at the table, they came up with a down payment, and that's all the cash that changed hands. And from that day forward, for the next 30 years, they're going to be paying me my mortgage.
Right. And
So
so
that,
mortgage notes is essentially making you the bank, right?
yeah,
And
yes. So
so that
from my tenant's perspective, I'm now the bank for the next
right.
30 years. Okay. So what we want to talk about is cashing out on real estate that you already own. Um, typically, in this market, just about everybody has run up equity in their properties because housing prices have gone up dramatically. So you're sitting on a lot of equity and you want to try to get some of that money back or get some of that money out to do other things, to redeploy it, to buy a car, send your kids to college, take a vacation, whatever it is, you have a desire to get that cash back. And typically, when we want to get cash back out of the real estate we own, we go to a bank or a credit union or some other institution like that. We're looking for a HELOC, we're looking for a collateral loan, we may refinance and get a new mortgage, but those are the types of things that we do, and that's the mindset that we have.
Right.
But now you run into a problem. You're dealing with a financial institution and they want to know what's your debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
How many properties do you own?
Yes.
And what is it? The maximum you can do is 5 before you can get a. I think that's the rule now. The maximum is 5 properties. So if you have 10, 15, 20, you're out of luck. What's your FICO score? And with many investors, and I've been through it. I've been through that cycle just like everybody else. When you're doing a lot of deals, your FICO score is going down. When you're not doing deals, your FICO score is going up. So
Right.
where are you in that cycle? Do you have enough equity? Kim, you were talking earlier about there's some banks that will require as much as 50% equity before they'll loan you, give you money on a HELOC.
Right. Right.
So that can be an issue. And speed. Don't be in a hurry. you know, there was one bank that we use, which will remain nameless, to do a refi on our property. We talked to them and they said 30 days.
Yeah.
6 months later, we're still in the process.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, we weren't happy.
Yeah. They always need
Um,
one more thing. you know.
Yeah, one more thing. One more thing.
Oh, and then, and they didn't communicate that they needed that one more thing.
No, no. Credit pulls. You
Yeah,
know, how many credit pulls do you want on your credit report? You know, um, but they're going to do a hard pull. Documents. They want, you got to have a bank. The last, what, 60 days of bank statements, um, your pay stubs, tax returns, your mama's tax returns, your, your grandmama's tax returns.
it does
Um,
seem like that. That there's
yeah,
this over, that I think there's a reach sometimes with all the documentation that they keep
yeah,
asking for, and they don't
yeah,
seem to ask for it all at once. It's like it's as though one set of documents warrant another set of documents, and like you said, you get caught up with documents trying to prove that you are who you are, and that you have
yeah,
what you have, and you know it's a mess. It's a
yeah.
mess.
You know, prove that you're you. How do I do that? you
Yeah,
know, it's I have been asked questions like that. It's like, how do I answer that? How do I do that?
yeah,
Um, and then for you real heavy real estate investors, the ultimate cross collateralization.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll loan you the money, but we want to put a lien on everything you've ever touched in your entire life.
Right, right,
So, but I only want to borrow $10,000 on this property.
right. But they want to put a
But
lien on three others.
no, we want to put a lien on $37 million for a $10,000 loan. So yeah, okay, right. Um, and then the one that I generally get really upset with the mortgage brokers. And if there are any mortgage brokers that are here, I apologize for how badly I treated you when you asked me what I call the random question
Oh
generator.
gosh.
Kim, what did you say they asked you? Where did you meet your spouse?
Yeah. Where did you meet your spouse? And it's not that I don't know where I met him. It's what did I say? Did I give a specific location? Did I just give the city or did I give the state? You know, inevitably I get the answer wrong.
One that blew me away once was they wanted to know my spouse's mortgage payments.
uh,
And it's sort of like, but this is a loan for me.
right, right, right,
you
right,
know, what do they? It's like asking for my mom's mortgage payment. You
right,
know, Why is that part of your evaluation? Well, we just want to know.
right, right.
So we're having fun with this, but for anybody that's gone through that loan process with a bank, with a credit union, with any other institution, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Very
is a very painful, drawn
arduous.
out process.
Yeah.
You know, at some point they're going to start asking you for your DNA test. you know, they're asking you for everything under the sun. And then after all of this, you've been through this, you've been through the ringer, we've humiliated you in public. Then we tell you no.
Right. Or they need more documentation.
we need more documents.
And then they
And
have to start all over again because the first set of documents have now are outside the scope of the 30-day window or whatever.
oh
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's
I
a
like that
song,
one too.
it's a
Yeah,
song and dance. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, I've
so
been there.
yeah, the one. Well, how do we know you still work there?
Right, right,
you know, we've dawdled enough. Can you prove that you still are employed at the same company you were when we started this process?
right, right. And
Yeah.
and you know
So
what's upsetting? It's your property. You're the one that's making payments. You're the one that has been making payments. You're the one that has the equity in the property. It's not their money. It's you're actually taking your own money, and yet you have to go through all these hoops to just pass a test. it seems like, to qualify to get your money, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very frustrating, and the system is, it does deter people from being able to or don't want to, or, you know, it's a level of frustration that is built up. It's ridiculous, really.
Agreed. Agreed. So this podcast is to help you get out of that cycle.
Yes,
What if you could create a note for yourself? What if you could be your own bank?
be your own bank.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens when I get ready to say something about Jamie Dimon, huh? He was
You're,
listening.
you're creating storms.
I'm
You're
creating storms, and he
creating
basically said, Jerry, don't talk about my bank anymore. you know, our next one's for you. So anyway, um, but getting back to that, what if you could be the bank yourself? You could
Right,
loan money to yourself.
right.
Wouldn't you do it?
Oh, yeah. Especially if I didn't have to
So
keep providing myself all that documentation.
yeah. So I'm going to talk today about creating my own note. And first, before I get into the details, I'm going to do some boring stuff. When you do a mortgage, or when you did the mortgage on your house and you went to the title company, you completed two pieces of paper. Yeah, it seemed like it was a lot. It was about 15 inches thick, but or 200 pages, whatever it is. But one of them was a mortgage and the other was a promissory note. On the mortgage, you got writer's cramp, signing your signature on every page, signing it at the end, proving who you were, driver's license, passports, all that other kind of stuff. Promissory note, basically the same thing. You got to fill out all of that paperwork or sign all of that stuff. Again, the initials, sign it, notarize it, or whatever. And at that point, money was transferred and the bank now had a collateral claim on your property. Well, guess what? You can do that for yourself. You don't have to do that with a bank. Lightning did not strike again. The banks aren't threatening me for telling you that anymore. So, what does that mean? I can create a loan for myself. So, promissory note and mortgage, those are the two documents. You can create a mortgage on a piece of property that you own, record it with the county that you're located in, and you've created a note. You notice that when I said all of that, I didn't ask myself what my debt to income ratio was. I didn't ask myself how many properties do I have. I didn't ask myself what my FICO score was. you know, I didn't. It didn't take 30 days. I basically could do this today if I wanted to. I didn't pull a credit report. I didn't ask for cross collateralization. I didn't have to provide 87 million documents. Um, and my favorite, I didn't go through the random question generator. I didn't ask him, where'd you meet your spouse? So now that you've done that, the next thing you do is you find an investor to buy the note. That investor will pay you money for the note that you've just created. Guess what? That's what JP Morgan did. That's what Wells Fargo did. That's what SunTrust did. That's what all of these banks do.
Yeah.
They have you sign the paper, then they find an investor and give them and sell them the note. You notice that you didn't get asked any of these questions, but what will an investor ask you? The investor wants to know, well, we're investors. We buy notes. We want to know where the property is located. We want to know how does it look. We're going to take pictures of the property, the exterior. We want to make sure that the paper is good, that the mortgage note was signed and recorded properly, that all of the documentation for that mortgage note, for that mortgage and that promissory note are there. We want to see the payment history. making sure that all the payments have been made on this mortgage. We want to know the location. We want to look at the neighborhood. We want to make sure that it's a good place. The house is in a good condition, and it's one that if we did have to take it back, that we'd be able to dispose of the house. We're going to do a lien search to make sure there are no extraordinary liens hanging out on this property. We're going to check for back taxes. Those are the things that an investor looks at when they're looking at buying a note. Again, I didn't ask for the FICO score. They're never going to ask for that. Debt to income ratio, I have never looked at that because it's not important. The only thing that's important is, can I get paid? Will I get paid? And is the collateral good? So having said all of that, that is, I have created a note. Now the thing that you're sitting back, you're looking at me going, oh, Jerry, that sounds really great. That's wonderful. But have you ever done it? So, Kim, we're going to do a case study on you.
Yes.
Can you describe the property that you did the loan on?
Right. This is one of the properties in my day when I was rehabbing and fix and flipping. Um, and so I bought a piece of land. It's about a little over a quarter of an acre of land. But it was sitting there doing nothing. And, I pulled a mobile home on it. And it wasn't a very pretty mobile home. So I rehabbed the mobile home, made it look like something from HGTV. And now that I have tenant, I have a very reliable tenant in there. And so um, it's now registered with the county, and it's a fixed piece of property because it is attached to the land, and the county knows about it. And so this was the property that I said, let's see if I can go ahead and get a note on it, right? Because basically it's valuable to me now. And so I created a note for the property itself.
Okay, cool. And what I want to do, I want to share something that I don't normally do with folks. Let's run them through, what does this thing look like? So, Kim, you created a note,
I did.
and I just want people to see, like, well, what does that mean?
Well, like you
How,
said, it's documents, right? It's documents that reflects the amount, right? So the whole promissory note, right?
yeah.
So it is valued more at what I borrowed at, but I took out $100,000 on it.
So
Um,
I'm gonna do some calculations here so people can kind of walk through and see what did you do. So you
okay,
borrowed, oops, not a million. You borrowed $100,000.
right.
How long did you make this loan out for yourself for?
Uh,
Was it 30
360.
year?
Yeah, three. Yeah,
So it's a 30-year mortgage, 360 payments.
right, right.
Um, what interest rate did you charge yourself?
I know that this was a goodie. Um, I did 5.8.
5.8. But Kim,
I know
interest
what you're
rates
saying.
today at the bank are what? 8%?
They are 8%, but because I'm the banker, I could make it the interest rate that I wanted to use. So I went with 5.8.
Okay, so you got to choose your interest rate. Wow.
Yeah,
And
that's the power of the
so,
mortgage
out
note.
of curiosity, yeah, that's the power of creating your own note.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
why did you choose 5.8, Kim? Is that your favorite number?
I wanted a reasonable payment for one, or that which would reflect a reasonable payment. And you know, at the time when we did it, it was, the rates were actually greater than what we had last year or the year before last. What was it, like 2% or whatever, 2.5. But I think it was closer to 7 at the time. And, again, it was just really trying to be able to pay less, but still have a reasonable, note. Because I do want to have flexibility with this note after creating it. We talked about this in the last podcast, about, when you fix and flips, when you fix something up, you can flip it, right? So I wanted that option. So I did with 5.8.
So your payment looks like $586.75 a month.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You see the grin on my face? Yes.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know. It's fun when you're the bank because then you get to create your payment.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to run this scenario another way after we get through talking. But so you got $100,000 note. Now then you go out to our community, the note investor community, and you sell that $100,000 note.
Yeah.
You sell the note and they send you cash.
And they send me cash. Yep.
So
So,
one of the things, this is what we mean by creating notes. Selling that note is something that we do all the time. Finding investors, finding an investor that wants $586 a month for some period of time isn't that hard.
no,
And that's what it means to be the bank.
right. And
Now,
and this was property that has equity in it, right? The equity wasn't doing me any good where it was. I mean, it was
yeah,
just, you know, and it's, for those who do physical property, getting cash out on a real estate investment of real property is not always easy. It's a challenge and it's more expensive, but
yeah,
it's not more expensive. The interest rates are very high, right?
yeah,
It's not, in this scenario, that which we just shared with you, that wasn't a factor.
yeah. The other thing that I'll say, Kim, and you can kind of verify this as well. What about closing costs? What were your closing costs, Kim?
It was zero, zero.
Yeah. Um, hmm.
Yeah. And this is not something that is readily realized, right? Um, I belong to different Facebook groups because, I've been a wholesaler and again, the whole rehab, and I see it all the time. Where can I go to get, finance a to be able to get equity out of the property I've just rehabbed, right?
Yep.
Or where can I go and refinance? Or who's going to give me money that that I won't have to season it for at least 6 months, right? Because in 6 months, the interest rates could be anything in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So this gives you, if you have property and you have equity, um, this is a solution. It almost seems like, you know, am I doing something I'm not supposed to be doing? But no, not at all. I mean,
This
just
is
like you can rent the property out, we talked about this. Just like you can rent the property out, you can collect a mortgage note. You can put a mortgage note on your property and get cash for it, the equity that you have in it.
so I I wanted to share today creating a note. So I wanted to give folks a feel for what is it like to, and what do I mean by being the bank? In the note space, we often talk about being the bank, and this is one of the things and one of the benefits of being the bank. particularly if you're a real estate investor. It's a way to be able to pull cash out of your properties and use that and redeploy that capital to do other things in a manner that is a little bit easier than some of the traditional methods.
Right.
So, um, again, we use this for examples, um, and just to kind of demonstrate the process. Would love to talk to more people about what we're doing, and
And
I'll
be
turn it
able
back
to
over to you.
assist and help you, right? If
Yeah,
you have properties, and there's a lot of people out there that do, right? Um, and you have equity in those properties and you're looking to create, get some of that equity out. You know, we can show you how to do that. You know, there's some concern about the real estate market right now. You know, I don't know which one to believe or not believe. Is regard to, do you lose some of your equity that's in your house? We know someone who, once upon a time ago, not of late, but they lost their equity in their house because they waited, right? And then they didn't have the same value, fair market value in their property. And then didn't get the money out of the house. They could not get the money out of the house because of the loss of value on their property. Now, this was years ago. But the point being is that, having to wait or having to meet criteria or having to season property, if you will, you know, just creates havoc for especially a sophisticated real estate investor, right? Um, and this was a great solution for me. Um, all of a sudden we were talking, and I said, "Wait a minute, you know, can I do this? Wait a minute." And I realized, this is something when, because when we're talking about creative financing, right? It's not just for the purchase, but in this case, it's for the equity.
yeah.
And, this is another means or another form of creative financing. And, you know, it's a matter of two pieces of paper, two pieces of document. I laugh because I think about the HELOC jumps and hoops and everything you go through with the banks and stuff, but it's not that complicated. So it's a good news story. It's worth exploring. Worth exploring, worth understanding, worth taking a look at what you have and what you can do to leverage what you have. Where your money is working for you, your properties are working for you, right? Um, to an optimum level. So I'm excited about it. I have more properties. I'm trying not to take advantage, but it is something to consider.
All right.
This was good. I hope that if you, our viewers, understood and followed what we were doing. But call us or send us an email if you would like to learn more. I don't mind. My email is kim@oneshieldfinancial.com. But you can reach out to our website, www.firstshieldfinancial, and you can reach either of us, right? Or part of our other teams that don't come on this podcast with us. We need to get the rest of the team. Just put us all on here at one time. But to help you understand, walk through it, explore it, see if it works for you.
All right. Well, thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Jerry. I hope you stay safe in that storm that's in your background there.
Yeah, no worries. And for those folks that are listening, if you heard something that you like, please hit the like button, and we'd love it if you subscribe.
Yes. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.